Whether you operate one forklift or thousands, one location or hundreds, the new My Toyota customer portal can help you optimize your operation and material handling equipment. This one-stop, free-to-use platform is designed to help you take control of your information and make smarter decisions, all at the touch of a button. Register and access your data today at my.toyotaforklift.com. That's my.toyotaforklift.com.
Does your warehouse waste time and money managing forklift batteries? EnerSys can energize your operations with a customized solution, delivering the power you need while minimizing ownership costs. EnerSys starts by analyzing your operations and then selecting from their comprehensive range of battery and charger technologies, develops a truly optimized system tailored to your needs. EnerSys gives you the power to increase productivity and profitability. See how EnerSys puts power in motion for you at enersys.com. Businesses are retooling fulfillment operations, from warehouses to omnichannel, to meet new demand amid unprecedented labor shortages. 3PLs, retailers, B2B distributors, and others are turning to flexible fulfillment solutions like 6 River Systems to adapt and scale. 6 River Systems Fulfillment Execution System is an integrated solution that combines intelligent, cloud-based software and automation, including its autonomous mobile robot, AMR, Chuck. No costly or disruptive infrastructure changes, fast and easy associate training, and integrations with other warehouse execution solutions allow operations to meet labor challenges, increase efficiency, and enhance customer engagement. Go to www.6river.com to learn more. Go to www.6river.com to learn more.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey, it's Kevin Lawton with the New Warehouse Podcast, bringing you a new episode today. And on today's episode, I have John O'Kelly, who is the president and founder at Newcastle Systems. And you may be familiar with Newcastle Systems. We've had them on the show a couple times talking about their great carts that bring lean solutions to operations of all different sizes. We actually utilize a cart ourselves in our micro fulfillment center that we have, and we love it, and I've used it multiple times throughout my career. Definitely a great addition to any operation. So we're going to talk to John today about Newcastle Systems, kind of hear about the origins and why he founded the company and how it's evolved over the years, and a recent award that they've received as well. So John, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Definitely happy to have you on. Like I said, I've used your carts for quite some time now, and they provide a great solution, and definitely a great continuous improvement solution as well. So I'm very interested to hear about kind of the origins of Newcastle. But for those that are not familiar with Newcastle Systems and maybe have not heard about you in the past, why don't you give us a brief overview of what it is you guys do?
Newcastle Systems, located here in Haverhill, Massachusetts. We basically offer some innovative solutions in the whole area of efficiency improvement within warehouse and distribution areas. And we offer basically mobile power, which enables people to move their computers, their printers, their scanners, their tablets anywhere they need around a warehouse, so they're not confined to a specific office or confined to a specific area. They can roam all over the warehouse and basically bring the technology that they need, whether that be a printer or a scanner or a tablet, bring it with them and use it throughout the course of the day. And that's basically the simplicity of what we do, and it's been taken on, embraced by people, and which is very encouraging.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the great thing about it is you can take basically anything you're working on your workstation anywhere with you, wherever you are, and I think that's really, really great. So I'm interested to hear you as the founder. Why did you start Newcastle Systems, and what problem were you seeing in the marketplace, or maybe personally experiencing, I can imagine, that made you start this company and figure out these solutions?
Okay. This was prior to 2005 when I set the company up. I had taken some classes at Harvard Extension, and one of them was on entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And we just came up with some of the group had come up with other ideas, like, one wanted to do a restaurant with a laundromat right beside it. I was like, I have no interest in doing something like that, so I basically forced myself to come up with an idea. And the area I had been in was in workbenches, really, with a previous company, and so I kind of knew that area, with manufacturing, distribution, housing kind of area where, in my experience, we had worked a lot, and I knew about mobility, and I knew about obviously the growth of wireless and mobility and all that, and I just thought, well, there are many companies here that really could benefit from this mobility, wireless capability and such within the warehousing and distribution environments. And I thought, there's got to be something that I can provide some kind of a solution. So I kind of dug around really, and just a lot of it was just research to see what people were interested in. That's kind of where the idea is, as corny as it may sound, and it kind of just took it from there. And then I could see, once I did some investigation, that there were a lot of people were walking. I think they say anywhere between 5 and 7 miles a day.
Yeah.
Now, while that's not a bad thing to walk 5 or 7 miles a day, you don't need to pay someone to do that. They can actually do that in their own time if they choose to do it. So it was really, once I had identified that, I was like, there's no way people, if they only knew how much unnecessary walking they're doing in a warehouse. And a lot of this walking is back within a warehouse, so like Amazon, their standard facility is 1.2 million square feet. So It's a quarter mile by half a mile or whatever. And so, which is ridiculous to expect people to be walking that much and grossly inefficient. But a lot of times people don't even know about it. They don't realize how much walking their people are doing. So once I saw that, I just thought, wow, this is a really a big pain point for people, and I just thought we could help with it. I thought we could help to, if not eliminate all that unnecessary walking, dramatically reduce it. And that's really what we've stuck to. Is just, it's a pretty simple concept. There's no rocket scientists here, and we just kind of went forward with it from there. And so it was very encouraging, to see, people embrace that. Over time, it took a while, obviously, for people to embrace it because they weren't familiar with it.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I love the fact that you guys highlight the amount of steps and like you said, unnecessary steps that people are taking all the time, because I think, like you said, subconsciously we don't really think about that when we're working. Our mind is like on the work, and we can be going back and forth, whether it's on a receiving dock, and you said you can bring the printer with you, so whether it's you got to go to the printer to get a label what you have to label, then go back to the printer, keep going back and forth. You don't necessarily think about that because that's how the work has been originally defined to you. Yeah. Right?
Our people will sometimes even say, Kevin, they'll say, how could a card help me? I mean, how's that possible to, whatever, not ours, but a $300 card, how could that make any difference to me? That's not going to make any difference. And we're like, would you like to see? Yeah. And then once they see, then they are believers, because it's very quick for them to see, not just to see the impact and the ROI, which is critical, and then they get it and they don't fight it anymore. But a lot of times people are expecting, it has to be a robot or an automated storage and retrieval system or a sophisticated conveyor system. No, it doesn't. Lots of companies can't afford robots or need robots. In this particular case, nothing against robots, obviously, but they I have nothing personally against robots.
Yeah, you better say that so they don't come after you. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But you're right. They don't expect that, and then so that's why a lot of times we have to show them, the difference between with a mobile workstation and without, because if you don't, they don't understand. They just can't necessarily wrap their arms around, because they've probably never given it a whole lot of thought or whatever. And so that's a challenge for us, is just the trying to make people aware, really, more than anything else. But I guess we've continued to do that, so I guess someone must be listening.
Yeah, you guys are still here, so someone definitely listening. Yeah, and I think it's a great point, because I think a lot of companies think to get to that next level, like you said, they have to invest in the automation or the robotics, which can be a daunting thing for those smaller, medium-sized businesses. And it's not necessarily the right track to take if you haven't fully kind of optimized your operation already and looked at these smaller productivity ROI gains that are less heavy on the cost side, like the Newcastle car. Looking at those types of things and trying to skip over that, you're not necessarily going to get the full gain at the end of your evolution anyway. So you need to optimize before you do that kind of thing. So speaking of evolution, you talked about kind of the beginning of Newcastle Systems and how the idea came about. So I'm curious, how has Newcastle sort of evolved from a business perspective and also from a product perspective since kind of that beginning stages where I'm sure you developed the first mobile situation?
Yeah, it's changed a lot. We've, aside from we're going to be moving to our third facility here later this year, just because the building we're now in is too small, and we've grown, which is obviously a good thing.
Yeah.
So it's changed immeasurably, even from the number we now have. We went from one product series to 6 different product series, depending on the application. If it's something that someone wanted something in a cold room facility, or someone wanted a powered unit that the surface is elevated by just pushing a button. We've also got into some other different, maybe quality control type of cards. So we have expanded the application of the product, still power, but just it's powering a different item. Yeah. And that's one important area where we've made some changes. We've also, we're marketing and selling our product across the globe and within Europe and in Southern Hemisphere, and that's been quite interesting. I just came back from a conference there with one of the biggest distributors, Blue Star, and they had their partners from all over the world attend the conference down in Florida, and it was quite interesting. We've been working with them for a couple of years now, so that's really helped us to expand the exposure. So like I mentioned, the challenge to get people to think about productivity improvements through a mobile-powered cart, well, obviously the reseller channel, distributor channel has really been awesome in terms of expanding that knowledge and that awareness, and they've helped to certainly spread the word about our product or whatever, because initially it was just we were doing it ourselves, and which is quite limiting, of course. And so that obviously has changed a lot. I think also our messaging has changed a lot. We're focusing more on quantifying the process and the time saving, as opposed to talking about, in the beginning we were talking more about ergonomics. Not that ergonomics is unimportant, but that's kind of what we really needed to go to, was more kind of factual, hard hitting, to say, look, you can reduce your receiving by 53%. You can eliminate labeling errors by 95%. When these are important metrics that our customers look at, and so we obviously want to make sure that we are providing metrics to them that make sense to them. I mean, other areas where we have, I guess it would be kind of similar with the in terms of the the channel, going from direct selling to going through a reseller or distributor, and that's been pretty significant in different categories, different areas. So that's I guess a little bit of an idea of how we have evolved.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're really kind of, I guess, taking that voice of the customer and listening. And I think that in the beginning, I can imagine maybe it was, as you said, you're trying to figure it out on your own and seeing what the right fit would be. But I think with all those different voices coming to you and ideas, I'm sure there's been a ton of evolution in the idea of, how can something that somebody else is asking for, like you mentioned, like going into a cold situation or moving it up and down, like, how many other people would that work for as well? I think it's interesting evolution. And I know that, in that sense, your company and you guys are big on the lean and continuous improvement side of things. So how important has the lean and continuous improvement thinking and culture been to getting Newcastle to where it is today?
This is not an understatement. We would not be where we are today without lean as a process improvement, as a philosophy. There's no way we would be, and I would be the first to acknowledge that. It's as one of our core values, lean. And so we try to, have it, help to drive us, and obviously in a certain direction. We have adopted lean principles across our entire company, not just in operations, but in sales, in marketing, in engineering, even in accounting. And so it's been very, very instrumental for us to be able to adapt to the growth of our company and the expansion in terms of the awareness of this. So I would have to say that it's had a profound effect on our entire operation. And it's been great. It's been a very unifying approach, across the company. Getting people to work together, getting people to constantly be looking for improvements and, process improvements right down the line. And that's why, a lot of people call it a philosophy. It's not just, as they say, it's not, it's a journey that you're on. It's not a destination.
Yeah.
And I think you have to really, believe that. Many of our people have lean certifications, and we really try to, walk the walk and talk the talk. Could we improve with this? Absolutely, we could. Could we get involved more in some different lean areas? We could, absolutely. But I think as a team, we've done a great job of embracing this philosophy and integrating it into our company on a day-to-day basis. And it's one of the things it's most gratifying is to see that across the entire company. I mean, even in selling our product, I was just talking about our operations, but even in marketing our product, we do interject lean principles into it. We do talk about lean, philosophies, lean processes, even with our customers, because we know it's such a powerful tool to enable people to, continuously improve, to grow, to make sure that they adjust their shipping and receiving functions to make sure that they're optimal.
We'll be back after a quick break.
You hear a lot about supply chains these days, because if the past couple years have taught us anything, it's that an efficient, well-managed supply chain is absolutely critical to keeping businesses successful and consumers happy. I'm Will Haywood, and I host a podcast called All Business, No Boundaries, where we talk about supply chains, how they work, what happens when they don't, and the innovations that are redefining what's possible in the world of logistics. Join me for insightful interviews with thought leaders and industry experts. We discuss how optimizing supply chains can break down the barriers that are holding businesses back. That's All Business, No Boundaries by DHL Supply Chain. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
With e-commerce off the charts, many small and growing warehouses are asking, how can I get ahead when my warehouse is barely keeping up? The answer is future-ready warehouse tech from Zebra Technologies. Warehouses can simplify and upgrade all processes, from automated inventory management to hands-free picking, with Zebra's tailored, scalable mobile solutions. They're simple and intuitive. There's never been a better time to upgrade for success with Zebra. How can your warehouse get ahead? The answer's in black and white. Get the answers at zebra.com/theanswer. That's zebra.com/theanswer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the fact that you guys internally embrace the lean culture, but then you also, in a sense, are able to pass that on to your customers as well and let them see. And I know you have a lot of great advocates on staff. I know Kevin Ledversus, he's great on the lean side as well. We've had a couple lean discussions.
He's one of the biggest proponents, and he wasn't like he had studied lean 20 years ago, and has really embraced it. And it's really quite influential.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm curious from your perspective. I mean, were you involved in the lean and continuous improvement side? I know you said you worked on workbenches previously, but is that something you adopted along the way, or is something that you brought into founding this company?
Yeah, I think just by virtue putting it on, it was important enough to me and to our management team to include it in our core values. So if you look at our core values on our website or on the walls of our company, it's right on there. Yeah, it's obviously my prior company where we made work benches and so forth. That lean was an important principle there, but really more on the customer side, not so much on the company side. So I think that was one of the things that was pretty important to me, was to embrace lean, similar to Six Sigma. I don't want to make it sound like lean is the only process improvement tool that there's out there, but I wanted to integrate that into the entire company and all of our different departments, all of our different functional areas. So it didn't take much to convince me that this was a game changer and something that we wanted to adopt, across the company. And so I've been involved in lean for 25 years, and it's very inspiring. And we're just obviously, the thing is you have to continue to do it and realize that you're looking for continuous improvement. Maybe that improvement doesn't come in big milestones at one time. It's bit by bit, step by step. But it's also, the main thing is this is a philosophy within the company that you're continuously looking to improve. You're not satisfied with where it's at today, a particular thing, whatever that may be, and you're trying to get better. And I think isn't that what excites everyone who wants to be doing the same thing over and over. If lean is something that brings some energy, some vitality to a team, that they're constantly trying to, get better, constantly trying to improve. And, to me, that's exhilarating.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's such an interesting, as you mentioned, it's kind of a journey in a sense. And it's such an interesting thing to see when you start to bring in some of these principles into an operation or a company, and when you start to see it click for people, I think is probably the most exciting part, I would say, because then people start identifying things on their own and they start realizing things. And I think, one of the biggest things is figuring out waste, right, and pointing out waste. And I think, the way that you guys approach bringing these carts in and like we talked about, pointing out the redundancy in steps and unnecessary steps in a sense is a big waste. I mean, transportation travel is one of the biggest wastes out there, I would say. And, being able to highlight that, I think is such an interesting thing. And I'm sure that kind of has clicked for a lot of your customers and maybe started their lean journey in a sense. So along those lines, I'm curious from a customer perspective, obviously if you're embracing lean and continuous improvement, you're always looking for ways to improve things. And, I'm curious, what are some of, because the cart is, itself is, there's a base cart, but then you guys offer accessories for the cart as well. But I'm sure there's been plenty of customers that have come up with their own additions to their carts as well to continuously improve as well. So I'm curious, what are some of the most creative additions that maybe you've seen in Newcastle's history to your carts?
I mean, as they say, necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah.
And I love to go and see our customers literally how they're using the product and trying to understand the process. And it's always amazing to me what they come up with. But I guess it shouldn't really amaze you, because that's their world. They know their business better than we could ever hope to know it. And so it's great when they take our product and they modify it, or they tweak it, or they add something to it. It's great to see that, because then you know that they're really embracing this tool. And how more gratifying is that? I mean, some of the small things that we have, seen at the customer level would be even our PC series. That was basically came from a customer that took our NB series, which is our most popular series, and they basically added an extension, or like you might see at an RV, those canopies that go over an RV.
Right. Yeah.
They just added this extra piece to the front of it, and because so it could work for, and that was I think that was like Lockheed Martin or something way back. And so a lot of our products actually have come from customers. One of our corporate goals is to develop 2 new products every year. And that's where it's come from. It's great. I don't get to visit customers as often as I used to or would like to. But when I go there, it's just so exciting to see what they've done, and it's so interesting to see what their process is. I mean, our height adjustable station, that's where that came from too, was literally talking to customers and them saying, oh, can you get something that would enable us to push a button and it would raise and lower it, because we have some 5-foot operators and we've got 6'6" operators. And we really need to have someone who has some flexibility there. I mean, just it goes, even just the product improvements that we've made. We pride ourselves on being close to our customers and listening to them and heeding what they're saying about our product, if it's good, bad, or indifferent. We've made multiple product improvements, just based on the customer's feedback. Even something as simple as attaching a rubbish bin to the back of the cart. I mean, something simple, very simple, but people love that. And so now all of our carts go out with a green rubbish bin, and the people are, we've gotten some good positive responses for that. And something simple, nothing earth-shattering or anything. And some of the other ones, at one stage we developed a cart for the medical environment, but that was probably maybe not something that we wanted to pursue once we realized how many people in the medical space were in this area. So we decided we would stick to our knitting, stick to the warehouse and distribution, manufacturing type environments. So those are just some. They're not revolutionary ideas there or whatever, but we definitely have embraced a lot of ideas and suggestions from our customers to make sure our product continues to work for them in their applications.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the trash can edition, I will say. I think it's great, and it's just another reduction in transportation or walking time to get to a trash can. It's just right there.
Well, one of the ideas, not that it necessarily completely came from me, but I remember seeing, we'd go to customers and they'd have these massive big 50-gallon plastic bags, and they have it tie wrapped to the handle at the top. And other people had, what did they have? They had bungee cords holding the rubbish bin to the side of the car, and it just was like obviously hokey. And more guys screwed it to the side of it, so you couldn't remove the actual trash barrel. You had to you had to take the contents out of the trash barrel. and put it into the bin. So it was, again, something, very simple or whatever. But
Yeah.
I think the idea here is it doesn't matter how simple it is. It's that you are listening to the customer and trying to improve all the time, bit by bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say the other one that I love is the cup holder. I got the cup holder, and it's perfect, perfect for my water. So very interesting, and obviously the idea of continuous improvement, and we continue to see things, and we'll be very interested to see what other things come out. As you said, you try to do 2 new products a year, so it'd be very interesting to see how you continue to improve the carts. But you also just received an award from the supply chain industry. So tell us a little bit about that award and what that means to Newcastle.
Well, I'd have to say we're honored. How could you be anything otherwise? Just looking at the cadre of companies that are on that list. Last year and this year. I mean, there are some inspiring companies. Little old Newcastle here, we're not quite as big as some of these people or whatever, but when you have the likes of DHL, UPS, and Zebra Technologies on that list, that's a pretty impressive list. And so for me, it's extremely humbling to be in that group. The fact that some of these companies are customers of ours is obviously even more meaningful, to me, in terms of the connection here, that we must be doing something right. These are outstanding companies, and as I can see, leaders in their, pioneers in their business. I mean, and then the other thing that was kind of very interesting was the criteria, or how you evaluated some of these companies, the key characteristics. And I just looked at that and I thought, wow, some of the reasons that you've picked these companies are for some things that are very critical to our business and part of our core principles. When one of them was, I saw continuous improvement, and I was like, that's exactly what we're about. And then you have a positive can-do attitude. That's number 2 on our core values. And so there was a lot of overlap, I felt here, overlap in a positive sense between the characteristics that you were looking for and the characteristics and that we kind of focus on. You had looked at reliability, value. So I just thought there was a very strong connection there. That the types of, the criteria that you guys use to select these companies, or rather you didn't select them, but the people put forward the names. Yeah, obviously you didn't. But it just was really interesting because it kind of brought it home that this is, the most important characteristics that, they don't always lead to success, but they sure as heck get you a good bit there. So that, for us, we're a very small company, but we're trying to, I guess, of course, want to be the best in the world at what we do. And that's this certainly helps with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's well deserved. I mean, I think what you guys do is such a simple upgrade for an operation that has such a huge impact. And I think, being able to spread the word more and have more people embrace the Newcastle systems and the carts and the mobile power, I think is a very good thing. And you're making huge operation improvements for people and making employees' lives easier and better too from their day to day. So I think that's a great thing, and definitely a well-deserved award. So kudos to you guys. And as we look to the future, and obviously much of our discussion we're talking about continuous improvement, and how does the future look for Newcastle Systems? What can people potentially expect in the next year or a few years to come from you guys?
Even we've been doing this for 16, 17 years, and it doesn't feel like it's been that long at all. And I think, it's still very encouraging to see, the general awareness, obviously through the last number of years, it's, there's been a huge growth in e-commerce, which is obviously, a major incentive for us, or a factor that, really brought some more attention to our type of product.
Right.
And there's lots of companies in that area, so that have continued to grow, and there's those leaders out there like obviously Amazon or Walmart, and those are they've kind of set the stage or set the standard for the efficiency and process improvement in warehouses, distribution centers, manufacturing type environments. And so that's very encouraging that obviously there's a lot of other companies that in order to compete with some of these companies, they have to really look at their operation in detail and really try to figure out, okay, what do we have to do here to compete? What do we have to do? And so for me, there's with this greater awareness of the effectiveness of our solutions, it just kind of, dovetails very well with this growth in the market in the last, so especially in the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. We're also continuing to look for problems that can make people's lives in warehouses, distribution centers, and manufacturing type environments, make it more productive. Right. We make it safer and make it comfortable in facilities. We hear a lot about, some of the reasons why some companies are losing people. Mm-hmm. is some of it has to do with safety. Some of it has to do with the environment not being comfortable. If you have to stand up all day, or you have to walk 5 or 7 miles a day, people don't like to have you waste their time. Yeah. And so, that kind of thing, when we see that, and we see that that's sometimes a reason why people leave companies, I'm not saying it's the only reason, of course it's not, but, you want to make sure that, people are in a comfortable zone or a comfortable position, and that they don't, they're not exhausted at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, if they are, you're not really maximizing their output. Yeah. You're not really getting their whole heart in the job. They're tired, and I don't want to overstate this point, but it's that's something that is important to us to continue to find those areas of pain where we can help, and try to let people know, that there is a better way, and that we can help you, and it can be significant. Yeah. And so with those two small points, I think that's why we are very optimistic for the future here, and we see that this is going to continue, and there are a lot of pretty happy customers out there. Yeah. that are happy that they invested in our solution, and it's having pretty significant impact in their business.
Yeah, and I think those are great points, and just to kind of echo what you're saying there, I mean, I'm hearing more and more that employees, especially warehouse employees, are they're getting wind that certain companies are embracing technology, like as you said, to make their work easier and help them be more productive, and they're leaving companies that are not to go to companies that are. So I think it's an incredibly important thing, and you guys are part of that, offering these solutions as well. Like you said, to help them reduce the taxing work on their body, and help to reduce the movement that can leave them exhausted at the end of the day. Because when we get off work, we want to still be able to live our lives. We don't want to have to feel like we got to go home and just crash on the couch, right? So very important stuff, and I think it's very interesting. And I'll say as a customer myself using Newcastle carts, I think it's a great solution. I'm using it in a micro fulfillment application, so I'm sure you'll see more of that as well. That it's compact in size, and has the ability to maneuver and really kind of fit into tons of different applications. So it's great what you guys are doing, and be very interested to see how you keep continuously improving the product and there's operations. So John, I want to thank you for coming on the show today and talking to me about Newcastle Systems. It's very interesting to hear the origins and the evolution. If people are interested to learn more about Newcastle Systems, how can they do that?
Well, first they can go to our website at Newcastle, like the beer, sys.com. We have some really great tools on there, some really good videos, some good podcasts on there, very, very informative, that cover many different type of applications. That would probably be the first place. And or you can just, when you go on there, send a note to sales@newcastlesys.com if you have some questions or some additional things that you'd like us to help with. We do have representatives all around the United States that would be more than happy to help with a specific application or a project or whatever. So we look forward to helping you if you do feel that there's an interest here.
Okay, great. And we'll put all that information at thenewwarehouse.com as well, so people can easily find it. And I do have to ask you said Newcastle like the beer. Is that you named the company after the beer, or you're a big Newcastle beer drinker?
Not exactly. We own the beer company. It's just a kind of a just to get more attention. We say they're part of us. No, it's. The company the name is from where I'm from in Ireland, Newcastle County, Wicklow, not Newcastle in England, so very big difference there. So yes, it's a small little hamlet in Ireland, and so I used the name, that's where the name comes from.
Very interesting. Okay, great. And we'll definitely put more information about Newcastle Systems on thenewwarehouse.com so people can easily find it. So John, thank you once again for your time on the show today.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want more content from the New Warehouse, check out our new video series called All Hands on LinkedIn. Just search for the New Warehouse on LinkedIn and follow along.